Hey lovelies, how's it going? Welcome back to Pagan Altar Gifts. I know I haven't made a video in quite some time, however, I really wanted to get back into the swing of things and I really wanted to share my altar with you. Today's video is going to be about pagan altars and how to make your own altar, as well as items that I suggest are good for making your own altar. I just want to say straight up, I'm not saying that you have to make an altar if you're a pagan or if you're into paganism. I just know that a lot of beginners have a lot of questions about whether they need to have an altar, whether that is required, whether they have to have a really big extravagant altar, or if they can make a portable altar. Just lots of questions that I also had when I first got into paganism. For those of you who may be asking what an altar is, I'm just going to say what I feel an altar is. This may be different for other people. There are other words that people do like to use. An altar to me is a sacred space full of sacred tools that you yourself have chosen, either to connect with a certain deity or honor a certain deity, or to set your own intention and work with that intention, or to celebrate change of the season or an important holiday or celebration within your own beliefs. Some people don't like to call these sacred places altars. That's fine. For the most part, they are referred to as altars, so that's what I mean when I say altar during this video. I believe there are some types of pagans that like to call them their focus area for their intentions. That's awesome. And I know there's also a lot of pagans who would say a shrine is a sacred space dedicated to a deity. You can choose to call it whatever you feel resonates with you and works best for you. You do not need to have an altar, and that's fine. Now, if you do decide to have an altar, you can have one on an old piece of furniture, like I have a small one in the back here. You can make one in a bookshelf, like I also have one in my bookshelf. You can make one in the garden. You can make one in a little suitcase or a little box that you can carry around with you. There is no right way and there is no wrong way to make your altar. Your altar does not have to be permanent. You don't have to keep your altar up forever, and you will not be dishonoring anyone by taking your altar down. I like to change my altar up a lot. I know that a lot of pagans will change their altars up depending on what deity they're working with, depending on the season, depending on celebrations, and depending on what intention that they may be working with at that time. For example, in the top of my bookcase, I have an altar which is set up for working with dragons. I love dragons and I have an altar just for them. And then below that, which I will show you during this video, is my altar for Venus. Venus is my main patron, and I usually will have a setup for her. But again, this is not a permanent setup. It changes all the time. I'll mix it up for celebrations like Lupercalia, the Festival of Love. And so please don't feel like you have to have a permanent altar and you can't fix anything up, you can't add items. It is a work in progress. Whatever you're feeling, if you're feeling good, put good, magical, happy vibes items on there. It's really up to you. Secondly, your altar can be portable, and this is a great option if you want to take it away with you, if you want to take it out to the forest and you want to work in the forest with your altar, or if you are going on a holiday, for example, and you don't want to be without your magical tools. I'll insert a couple clips here. This is a chest that I found at a secondhand shop, and it is perfect for carrying a small amount of altar items that I can take with me anywhere I want. Other things you can use is Alwyn Oak is a lady that I watch on YouTube. If you've seen her, you'll see she started off with her altar inside a box that she used to carry around with her and take to her friend's house taken to the forest. So really, you can do whatever feels right for you. So now I'm just gonna share with you some items that I think are essential items for your altar if you're just beginning out, or if you want to know what to add to your altar. I'm in no way saying that you have to have these items. If you don't want them, you don't have to have them. I'm just giving you some ideas on what you might find on the general pagan altar. And the first thing that I'm going to suggest is getting yourself a centerpiece. So usually I'll suggest, or I'll use myself, a statue or a figurine, especially if I am making an altar in honor of a deity. However, you can use other items as your centerpiece. Like even behind me, I've got herb drawers. That could be a centerpiece, or a study book that you're using, like this Bardic one behind me. That could be a centerpiece. It really just depends what the focus of your altar is. For the next item that I would suggest for your altar, just something to do with a light source or scent. So usually I will use a candle to put on my altar, and it'll be colored to the same intention that I'm setting for my altar. Or say I'm making one for Samhain, then I would use like an orange candle or something like that. For springtime, I'd use maybe like a yellow or a green candle. So I would recommend a small offering bowl like the copper one, or a chalice as well is a perfect choice for offerings, especially for liquid ones like milk or wine or mead or even water. And thirdly, I would also suggest a cauldron. I know for Wiccans, I probably wouldn't say that it's for offerings. They use it for their spellcraft and for working with their intentions and things like that. However, if you're like a druid, then a cauldron could be something useful to use for offerings on your altar. I would also recommend putting something like a book that relates to your intention, or even like some studies that you are doing on your altar as well. You can also write a poem or a hymn depending on how you feel and what your altar's about. And you could also put your like sacred journal if you have one on there, or your book of shadows or something like that. Next up, I would suggest some sort of nature for your altar. So when I make my altars, I will either have dried flowers or fresh flowers, and in some cases I will have fake flowers. At the moment, I have some fake flowers around my room and on my altars because I do market stalls and I use these for props and also for photography for products and things like that. So they come in handy sometimes, and they just add a bit of extra life and magic to your altar. The last two items that I'm going to suggest for your altar are crystals. Crystals are amazing. If you don't really like crystals, that's cool. You can maybe put some rune stones on there or craft your own items, or you don't have to worry at all. But crystals are a great way to emphasize your message and your connection with the deity that you're working with, and they just make it look beautiful, and they really enhance the atmosphere, and I love crystals. And the second thing I was going to say is you can find old jars and add oils into them, scents, essential oils and things like that, some herbs, and just make it a little bit more magical. I'd also recommend just finding little bits of pieces, like not necessarily big items, just small bits and bobs. Like if you make spell jars, by all means add a spell jar, add a little jar of herbs, add some little crystal chips, sprinkle some herbs over the top, put a wand on there, a altar spoon. I like to put an altar spoon on there, some shells, anything that relates to your altar and anything that you want to have on there that makes it look beautiful, makes you feel amazing, and just really enhances the space and resonates. I'm just adding this clip in now. I just wanted to have a small section talking about altars when you have pets, especially if you have cats who like to climb around and get on everything. You don't want to keep out poisonous herbs and poisonous plants and things that can harm your pets, because I know cats get into everything. They like to eat everything, they like to smack things off, so you just need to be mindful of that, and maybe putting it somewhere that they're not able to get to, also so you don't get mad at them for destroying it. Just in case you didn't know as well, some essential oils and incense can really upset animals, especially cats as well. So before you use those around your pets, my advice would be to Google and see what's going on. I'm not a professional, so I'm not here to tell you what to do. It's just my suggestion to keep you safe, to keep your pet safe, and to keep everyone happy, because these are things that I worry about myself a lot. So for the rest of the video, I am going to show you how I built my Venus altar, which you can see behind me here, what I used to decorate it. I'm not going to say much, I'm just going to probably put music on and you guys can watch, and I'm pretty much just using all the tips that I've said previously. Thank you for watching, and I really hope you enjoy. Please leave a like and subscribe, and leave a comment below if you found this video helpful, or if you have any tips for someone else who is looking to make their first altar or looking to improve theirs. See you later.